Bonics.
I came to rock this party.
Welcome to Digging in the Dome. I'm your gracious host for the day, Kevin Hartman. With me, as always, is my hetero life mate, not so silent Bob, Mr. Chris Morano.
Yeah.
And today we have an incredible guest. Super excited. We know him as Brandon. You may know him from afternoons on 96.1 KISS FM in Pittsburgh back in the 2000s. Mm-hmm. Or you may know him currently from 95.3 Go Radio in Minneapolis, Minnesota. But you most likely know him as the official DJ for Taylor Gang's own Pittsburgh native Wiz Khalifa. He's also the world's biggest Charles Barkley fan. Ladies and gentlemen,
hell yeah,
please welcome to Digging in the Dome, DJ Bonics.
Hey, let me do a live wiki edit real quick.
Go ahead.
Go 95.3 doesn't exist anymore. That ended end of last year because of COVID. So it's I'm from Philadelphia originally.
Well, yes. We know that.
We know that.
So I like to call I spent equal time in both Philly and Pittsburgh. So it's such a toss up there. And so I will call myself a Pennsylvania native and born in Philly and bred in Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? So
yeah. And you also, now you're in Minnesota. Is that where you live now?
Yeah, actually no. So after the station ended in Minnesota, I this is kind of like, I haven't said this in public. I made a move to Austin.
Oh, wow.
I love bombed and moved to Austin, and that didn't necessarily work out. So I'm currently transitioning, and I'm in my mom's house in Lansdale, Pennsylvania.
Nice. Lansdale. Man, we're going to have you here live. Jesus, you're like 20 minutes away from here.
Totally. So I'm in Lansdale right now, sleeping on the couch and
nice,
enjoying living at my mom's.
Home cooking.
Yeah.
Yes. We're really dispelling the mystique that you're like a rock star here right now. He's like, I'm sitting on the couch.
Yeah. I mean, but isn't that rock star life? Like,
I guess so.
On the couch. No, we got to break all the rules, man.
Hell yeah, dude. Do you, and you're in transition. So where are you going to end? Where do you think you're going to end up? Do you know where you're going to land?
Well, this is a first too, is that it looks like that I could be landing in Las Vegas.
Ah, Vegas, baby. All right. Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That'd be awesome.
That might happen next, but I'm kind of all over the place. I'm still hosting TV at CW in Minnesota. I'm trying to be all over the place. Modern man, be as you could be.
Yes. Don't let the grass grow under your feet, my friend. Just keep on running.
So I wanted to give a quick shout out to Jackie Lobb, who connected us. Growing up in Lansdale, the two of you together. I think it was Lansdale Catholic you went to.
Yes, I love Jackie. When I was in grade school, Jackie was my little grade school crush. So
yeah, she's the best, man. And I've known her for a long time, and
she's the best.
And she connected us, and actually, unbeknownst to us, before we connected, we were actually already following each other on Twitter because of our love for Sir Charles Barkley, which you had a dog named Sir Charles, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
is that correct?
Man, these are all like bombs that I'm dropping. Yeah, I have a dog named Sir Charles who I bought for my ex who has the dog now. So.
Oh no!
Charles got traded to Phoenix. Son of a bitch.
Sir Charles. I mean, I'll be his daddy forever, but he's in great hands. So shout out to Sir Charles for sure.
All right. Yeah, man, the ground mound of rebounds.
So what made you and I've told this story on the podcast of how I met Charles the first time. I also managed to meet Armin Gilliam in certain parts of his anatomy at the same time.
Yeah, he saw.
There's a reason they call him the Hammer.
Yeah, he went to the locker room and
I met Charles in the locker room, and
why they call him the Hammer.
But
the Hammer is eye level if you stand next to him.
100%. But so how did you get your love for Charles? Obviously, growing up in Philly, he was a super duper star. But
I was a chubby kid, man, and he's the chubby kid hero.
Husky kids for life.
That's right. It. Also, I'm a nice guy, and he's brave enough to say shit, and I appreciate that when someone doesn't to not speak how he feels, So just that, I mean, obviously he was like the superstar Sixers player and I grew up in Philly, but his story about being basically told he wasn't going to be able to play the game and that he was just too fat and the round mound and rebound. And, I resonated with me, I guess, when I was younger, even though I probably didn't know that word, but, just for being a chubby kid and that spoke to me because he was able to exceed that. Man, I was like, I didn't want to play shirts and skins when I was little. Yep. I didn't want to take off my shirt in the pool when I was younger.
That was me.
You know what I'm saying? Like totally. So Barkley was that guy. And the fact that he would like say whatever the fuck he wanted and express himself and spit at people, whatever. Like, I mean, that's not nice, but like, I respect
that commercial. I'm not a role model. Remember that commerral back in the day?
That's right. And I can commiserate in a different way. I'm extremely short. So like, I look at like, I'm not maybe Muggsy Bogues, but like we talk about Kevin Johnson, I'm a Sixers fan. So like, I love the Sixers and, but I used to like KJ because he was a shorter guy. And who did he dunk over in the playoffs? Was that Akeem Olajuwon?
That was Starks.
Oh,
it was Starks that dunked over Olajuwon in the playoffs.
Yeah, KJ dunked on somebody. Yeah, and I was just like, that's what
KJ I appreciate is like the thing that I remember about Kevin Johnson when I was younger is that he was just so well spoken, right? He was like, when he answered questions, he like spoke so clearly, and so I always remember that of Kevin Johnson being like, wow, he's like.
Yeah, he ended up actually being like the mayor of Sacramento, and then he got arrested for fraud or something of that nature and got ousted. So
yeah, I thought that he like on some like weird underage shit.
He had some. Right. Chris doesn't wear his jersey anymore.
No. Yeah, we're gonna get canceled by just wearing a jersey. That's great.
Yeah, Barkley was great, but I wanted to talk about something else that people might not know about you that I knew about you, and was another reason that we connected because it was my favorite action figure growing up. You're a huge Donatello fan from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I loved Donatello. Nobody else liked Donatello because he thought his weapon was like he's got a stick. Yeah, he's the big nerd. I was like, I love Donatello.
What was crazy is that Wiz's favorite character was Donatello.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and he actually has Donatello, I believe, tatted on him, or he had a Donatello chain. I think he has Donatello tatted on him. So I like to look at that as like, I always, for some reason, and I don't know if it on purpose, but I didn't like Jordan. I liked Barkley. I didn't like Hulk Hogan. I liked the Ultimate Warrior. I didn't like Michelangelo. Everyone liked Michelangelo because he's a fucking party dude. Donatello, man. Like, smart, and he got the staff. I fuck with the staff. You know what I mean?
Oh, man. Let's break it out. Let's see a demonstration. He's like,
Armin Gilliam.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of staff.
Yeah. So I tell you what, so Kevin, unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know how he sees it. He has encountered more than one giant black hog. It's a famous giant black hog.
Yeah. I mean, it's because I was lucky enough to know people who knew people, and I got to meet a lot of cool athletes. My dad was a teacher at Wildwood High School. Right. He was Frankie Vogel's high school history teacher. So I got to meet a lot of athletes through him. Right. And it just so happened you go in the locker room and when you're 12, and I mean this is where you are.
Exactly.
It's nothing you can do about it.
Staring in the eye of the Cyclops. There it is.
It happened more than once. Yeah. I got to go in the Pitt locker room, and we'll talk about your University of Pittsburgh roots too. Yeah. But I got to.
Yeah, I didn't have many run-ins with what we were speaking about, so
Yeah. No, Kevin's the resident expert. He's got it under control. He's got the. Yeah.
But I got to meet Ironhead Hayward when he played for Pitt.
And again,
Ed Hayward.
Yeah, I mean, it all comes right back around. Man. Chris loves to bring this up.
I do. Yes. They gravitate. It's magnetic. You just go into places and bam, there they are.
So we'll jump right into that. So you go from Philly, grow up in Philly area. You go to Pitt, go to college. Mm-hmm. And that's where you picked up DJing. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Yeah.
So do you remember what your first record was? Like the first album that you bought with your own money, whether it was when you were younger or older? Do you remember your first record was you bought with your own money?
Like my dad had brought Christmas of '98 had brought me this. It was called DJ in a Box.
DJ in a box.
Yeah, and it was like the shittiest turntables you could get. You could bring your computer out though. Yeah. It was the shittiest turntables you could get. And so I remember getting it that night. And I didn't know he was going to buy me turntables. So my mom had records, or my family had records. So like, I just took some of those out. Michael Jackson, like everyone had Thriller, right?
Yes.
Some other things. And then the next day, I believe I went to this record store called Sounds of Norristown, and I had bought, I remember buying Lauryn Hill and Busta Rhymes record. And I mean, these records cost money. So like, I didn't buy too many of them. I was in college.
Right.
So I remember Busta Rhymes very clearly, and a Lauryn Hill Lost Ones and Busta Rhymes Dangerous, I believe, were like my really first two. Oh my God, I got turntables, and here we are. And I still have those records in my crib, which is amazing.
Man, like when you hear someone's like cool first albums, like, Lauryn Hill and Busta Rhymes, I'm like, I got a tape of Genesis when I was like 12
Well, like I bought tapes when I was in like grade school, like, Arrested Development, Vanilla Ice and all that shit. But that was pre-DJ. Certainly. I love Genesis.
Yes.
So there you go. My first album was Fat Boys.
Oh,
the one where they're on the pizza. Because I was the fat kid, man. I wanted to be Human Meat Beatbox more than anything in the world when I was 12 years old. That's all I wanted to grow up to be.
Do you remember Disorderlies?
Hell yeah, dude.
Love that great movie.
Baby, man. Yeah. Totally.
Baby, you're a rich man. Yeah, hell yeah. Dude.
I'm going to go back and watch that again.
Dude, Disorderlies, it's so terrible and amazing at the same time. It's fantastic. So you're in Pittsburgh now, and were you DJing parties? Or were you?
Yeah. So like, basically I get this turntables and then I bring them back after, cause I got them at Christmas. So I was home for Christmas break. And then I guess someone drove me back to Pittsburgh and threw them in my dorm room. And then I was the kid on the 6th floor of Tower B who had turntables.
Yeah.
And, there was a lot of record stores in Pittsburgh at the time. So I just started buying records. And, that's kind of where it all started, in the dorm room, me and the hip hop homies freestyling. And we thought we were little hip hop kids and shit. But, that's where it started. You know what I mean?
So did you got like, I guess that, getting there and being in college and, like you said, being in the dorm, then that kind of translated into going to parties and being the DJ at parties, and then that popping off potentially at clubs.
Yeah, well, we'll fast forward quickly in that. Like, so I was DJing, and then I had actually, me and my friends started a fraternity, and so that was kind of like my first sort of like, I was DJing all these frat parties, and we were definitely the like Van Wilder of frats, you know?
Oh, hell yeah!
I got the attention of the Pit Program Council. Shout out to my man Tom, and they booked me for like a spooky Halloween thing. And then I applied to DJ at the college radio station. And when I was a freshman, they denied me. But a year later, I was the program director, so that's my little Michael Jordan. Like, he didn't make his high school team. That's kind of my story of, I remember them calling me and being like, we don't think you're qualified to work at the radio station. And then a year later, I'm running shit.
Yeah. Look, and what year was this?
99.
Look, I too was a DJ in college. I was, I spun records. I did that, and it's not like how complicated it is. What do they think that you're going to be able to figure it out? It's not that hard. You use a profit system. I can type in and figure out, how. It's not. I mean, it's difficult getting. It's not. I'm not downplaying the fact that getting on the mic and actually talking to people and then filling up some space, even just between, your interstitials between you're playing your music. Or transitioning into a commercial or something like that, or a read isn't hard, but like it's not that, like, I'm surprised that they denied you. But that's great that he said, well, now the program director, you're fired for not letting me do it in the first place.
He actually is a friend of mine, which is funny because it's kind of a story I don't live down with him. He's a DJ that's pretty popular as well. Mm-hmm. He DJs for the Pitt basketball team, and he does the in-game music for the Steelers and stuff. So,
oh wow,
I usually give him a hard time about him, not hiring me, but that's cool, man. It's all a part. What would we be talking about right now if that didn't happen?
Right,
exactly.
Williams junk. That's
well, I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. Apparently,
Yes.
Oh my god. Armin Gilliam hasn't got this much press in years.
He's next week.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually met Armin Gilliam at the mall, King of Prussia Mall, way back in the day.
Oh, no kidding.
No shit.
No. I'm sorry. I met Johnny Dawkins, but my dad met Armin Gilliam in a parking lot of a mall and took a picture with him. And meeting famous people then was like, I thought my dad was the coolest. Meeting Armin.
Yeah, I mean, that was my dad too, and that's how I met all those guys. It's like I still have Johnny Dawkins' autograph, Hersey Hawkins, Barkley's autograph, Stacey King. Like I met a bunch of the Chicago Bulls. I have Jordan's autograph and stuff like that. It's cool. And
you don't like Jordan, man. Get out of
get out with that, Jordan.
I mean, we have similar paths, and my family's from Western PA, but I went from Philly to Western PA and back. And I still have connections to both. My parents live in Pittsburgh. I live in Collegeville. So, what's that?
I said, you guys are down the street.
Yeah, I told you. Man, if I knew that you were in Lansdale, you're going to be sitting here next to us.
Seriously.
Yeah, but that's
next time for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But so you go to Pittsburgh, you're a Philly guy, you go to Pittsburgh. Are you bringing your Philly sports affiliations?
Yeah, I was going to ask the same question.
Or did you become?
You guys are putting me on the spot here.
I went back going to Minnesota to Vegas
because I'm a huge Steelers fan. I'm a huge Penguins fan, but I like the Phillies and I like the Sixers. So I'm like kind of half and half.
Yeah.
Good thing is that it's NFC, AFC, right?
Right.
That's fair. You can like both.
And I lived so many disappointing years as an Eagles fan, right? Like we could say that, right?
Yeah.
But when you get paychecks from the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I got to DJ Big Ben's parties, and I was Heinz Ward's DJ, and I was DJing for all because I was on the radio and I started building these relationships. It was hard not to be a fan.
Yeah.
And honestly, Steelers organization is like amazing. Like I have personal relationships with some of the Rooneys,
Oh, wow.
When I was living in Pittsburgh heavy, I was DJing the fashion show and amazing organization, yo. I was DJing their fashion show, which was like, I think one of the biggest NFL fundraisers for a team. They were like, that was like one of the biggest things that they had. So they really looked out for me. And, I did have some relationships with Ben. Like I DJ'd Big Ben's house twice, actually.
Wow.
And
Kevin you said the Rooneys, Big Ben, Heinz Ward, he already finished. You don't need to keep going.
Right. I need a sandwich and a nap, dude.
So I got to experience some of Big Ben before he got into trouble. And he was a good guy, man. I remember when the Steelers went to the Super Bowl that first year he was in, all I did, all these people have to run through press, and I just texted Big Ben and I said, yo, can you call the station? And he called, hey Bonics, what's up? I'm like, holy shit. And when I think about it at the time, I'm like, dude, that's great. Relationships were great. And I ended up going to one of the Super Bowls through the Steelers. They were able to give me a ticket that I bought, and I got to watch them win in Tampa. And that was an experience. And I still to this day, I don't know if moving forward, Jerome, if you're watching, I still get flown out to Pittsburgh to DJ Jerome Bettis's
the bus,
which is really
that's so cool, man.
Yeah. Totally.
Like I literally in my office at home, I have a autographed game worn Heinz Ward jersey that my mom won for me in a charity auction and gave to me for my 30th birthday. And I still have it hanging in my office.
In a place of honor.
Can I tell you a story about a jersey?
Absolutely.
Sure, absolutely.
So I collect Barkley stuff, and finding a real 76ers Barkley jersey is damn near impossible.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Hard to find it. Yeah.
And so I was on a hunt for one, and any one that you would see, it'd be like pretty fucking expensive.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing at the time I felt comfortable to spend this money. And so I found one on eBay and I emailed the dude on eBay and I was like, I messaged him in the eBay app and I was like, yo, listen, I'm going to spend a lot of money on this. I would rather pick this up in person. I tour and I didn't say I tour with Wiz or anything. I said, I travel a lot. Mm-hmm. So wherever this jersey is, maybe I'll happen to be there and fly out and whatever. And this guy writes me back. He's like, I live in Jersey and I'm happen to be going to Jersey that weekend.
No way.
I'm like, Philly. So Jersey.
It's right there.
And so I was like, yo, I want to meet you and just make sure this jersey is legit because I've got burnt on eBay before.
Right.
And I met this guy at a mall. I think it might have been Cherry Hill Mall or Deptford Mall or one of those things in the parking lot. And I brought cash with me. And he brings the jersey and I'm like, well, how do I know this is real? He's like, it's either him or his wife. I think he said his wife or him. He's like, my wife used to work for Mitchell and Ness back in, 85.
Oh, wow.
And the owner at the time gifted her with that shit because I ended up speaking to Barkley about this very briefly. That's another story. Is that Barkley, I guess, he had a disagreement with the guys at Mitchell and Ness, and that's why you rarely see any Barkley anything at all. Like Barkley doesn't even like to sell his likeness or anything like that. So I got the jersey. It's pretty big on me. I've been considering. I got the jersey and I like almost cried about it because I'm just.
You're like, yes. By the way, up until the point you say you got the jersey, that was the start of 5 horror movies that I've seen in the last 6 months and one Unsolved Mysteries. Like, where DJ Bonics disappeared in a Cherry Hill Mall parking lot.
If I was going to die, it was going to be trying to get an authentic Charles Barkley.
Fair enough. You went out. Yeah, you take the risk.
Shout out to the dude. He was an awesome dude. He actually had like another poster that he brought and I bought that too. And, I have like one day I want to do some show and tell Barkley with you guys. I have
absolutely.
That would be incredible.
Love that.
Absolutely do that.
Yeah.
So you talked about being on the radio in Pittsburgh. So that was at Kiss FM when you were working with Mikey and Big Bob at the time.
Yep.
And so was that when you met Wiz or did you meet him before that?
So I met Wiz through Eric Dan, who is the guy who runs ID Labs, who was like Wiz's major producer and basically discovered Wiz and also produced and recorded a lot of Mac Miller stuff.
Right.
Oh, wow.
So I remember I say this all the time because people ask me, and it was Eric, we were just having a conversation. He's like, yeah, these kids, they come in after school and they record. And there's one guy, Cam, who's pretty good. And like, I won't ever forget him telling me that. In that way. And so quickly, because he was good, we were able to like kind of have a team. I don't want to even say a team was this guy came in and kind of financed it and basically started that whole thing. And so I knew of Wiz and I helped do, I like to think I actually booked Wiz on like one of his very, very first shows ever before his name was even Wiz Khalifa. And I helped book Wiz at Slippery Rock when he played and opened up for T.I. I helped book Wiz at Pitt for the very first show that Wiz did at Pitt, main show. I booked Wiz on my own, like at a Pitt show. Like they used to have me throw like hip hop concerts or whatever, at showcases. And But I wasn't, they never really asked me to be his DJ because, he was still figuring it out. He had a few DJs and I was like on the radio in Pittsburgh. But in 2010, I remember feeling really kind of shitty about the music. And there was a new boss and we didn't really get along too well, but we're friends now. I just like felt like I was at a time, it was Pitbull, Derulo, Britney ruling the radio.
Right.
And deep down inside, I knew, man, I had said back in 1998, like, I'm going to travel the world through this shit. I said it I just started and I said it. And 2010, Will, who was Wiz's assistant at the time, who's now his manager, they asked me to do, hey, Wiz needs a DJ for a New Year's show in 2010. I remember doing that. Wiz was like, that was like the best DJing I've had. I was like, cool.
That's awesome.
And then 6 months later, they were like, yo, Wiz just wrote this song, Black and Yellow. He signed to Atlantic. Nobody knows that yet. And we're going to tour in the fall, tour bus tour. And I remember them playing, them playing Black and Yellow for me, even and being like, "Oh, his first single for a mate, like this song's fucking rocks." I live in Pittsburgh, awesome.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, yes.
But to think that, like, I didn't honestly, I'll say this: I didn't know a song about Pittsburgh and the colors of the city were gonna take over worldwide, right?
Yeah.
So
that song blew the fuck up.
Yeah, it was insane.
I quit my job.
It's like, I'm out of here. Peace out.
And then, well, that was before Wiz even blew up, man. So people were like, "You're doing what for Wiz? What? Who?" And ironically, my first real gig as officially Wiz Khalifa's DJ was at a Soundset Festival in Minnesota. Weird.
Okay.
And then, later that fall, we jumped on the tour bus, all 16 of us, and toured the country for the very first time. Over 30 dates, sold out. And imagine making a song Black and Yellow and then Steelers go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Bananas.
I mean, and that was like the anthem.
Oh yeah.
Like it was everywhere. It was unbelievable. And, as a Steelers fan, I was like, obviously,
yes,
like,
you were pumped.
I'm like, that was incredible to hear. And especially when you're like, cause you don't think too much about like Pittsburgh nationally. Like Pittsburgh doesn't get a lot of like, especially from a music standpoint. Before that, like, they didn't get a lot of love from
I'm just trying to think who else like really kind of
big musicians coming out of Pittsburgh.
Rusted
Root. Yeah. I mean, that was a big, like in the early 90s, they were the only big thing that I had ever heard like come out of Pittsburgh. So like to have somebody be a national world like act off of a song out of Pittsburgh was crazy.
That era was crazy. Wiz, Max, Steelers, Penguins. Like Pittsburgh was like, man, and we were all a part of that. Every single person, and there was no social media even really then. So it kind of stinks that it really lives with people telling stories versus being able to search some tweets in a few years back.
Yeah,
no kidding.
It's the magic of that.
Yeah. So, hey,
I think that makes the stories even more magical. Being able to sit and talk to somebody about it always.
Well, yeah, because you're going to get the full context of it. You get the emotion. You don't get that in a tweet,
right?
You don't really understand. Even in a series of tweets, you can't really get that. That's why these kinds of interactions are awesome, because then we get to really experience and kind of put ourselves in your skin a bit. And actually, I am a big fan of broadcasting. I've been a radio fan forever. I've been a DJ, like I said previously. And, obviously we do this podcast, not because I don't like doing this. But I'm just curious about your feelings around radio, because it's definitely changed. Like the amount of accessibility to content, right? You can get it in like pretty much anywhere you want. There's so many distribution models. Like, how do you think that's going to impact radio? It just seems like it's like on life support unless it evolves.
Right. I'll speak on it just from what I know. And this doesn't mean it's all across the board, because there are some stations that have tried to take risks. And I just think radio is missing a big opportunity to really localize it better. I understand it's about the bottom dollar. And so, you know what, if you put one guy in 55 cities, you're going to save money. But I've been trying to tweet this, but I don't want to like make it seem like I'm attacking iHeartRadio or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Is why the fuck in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, there are so many colorful characters from this city.
Absolutely.
And there's a guy on Power 99 that is voice track from Florida.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
T-Roy. And I respect the guy, because guess what? He's got a full-time radio job and I don't. And he sounds great. Don't get me wrong. But there's too many people in Philadelphia, so many great people, that why are we need a live, colorful personality live in the afternoons, not a guy that doesn't live in the city. And so I just think that radio, it's a mix of things, guys. Sorry, I'm on these long form answers.
No, I know these are great. This is exactly what I was hoping you, because like you understand it. You've lived it in so many different ways.
You also have people who like fill these DJ roles who mean nothing to the city. Right. So basically they're just people that are like, can do the role. They look cute and they can say the song and whatever in 6 seconds and introduce the next Justin Bieber song or whatever. But if we're in a town and you're on the radio and music, why aren't the local artists? Why don't they know who you are? Why don't you have a relationship with them? And that's the part that they're completely missing, is that, it's a culture piece. And this doesn't go across the board. This is just my example of it. Like,
Sure.
I made sure that how I knew that made sense was I got on the radio after I was involved in the Pittsburgh music scene, and I continued to do through it. And so people knew who I was, and oh no, he supports the music scene. But you have these cats who are hired that are basically like vanilla type cats that are just like, hey, and now we're funny and I'll make some TikToks. But guess what? Nobody in the fucking city fucking fucks with you or knows who you are.
Right.
And that's why I do respect some of the urban personalities around the country, because these people do mean stuff to their city. You know, they give back, they DJ parties. Like there's a lot of personalities that really give back. But it's just funny to me how, man, when I was on a station in Minneapolis, they put us on billboards because they recognize that if you put my name up there next to Bruno Mars or Drake's, you're going to create stars in your city.
You know, buzz around you because now you're interacting with all these like really, really important people. And then so by proxy, they're like, well, they wouldn't put him on a billboard with Bruno Mars if he wasn't a big shit. Like you would care about that. And we actually, there's a lot of, so you think about, there's a couple of people that come to mind, Preston and Steve. And it's funny that you mentioned fucking with the local artists, because we were actually on Preston and Steve. We kind of got in there through a contest of one of our buddies.
When we were in a band for 17 years, local Philly band. We got decently big in the city and in New York City and stuff like that. So you guys
were in the Roots, right?
No, we actually did. We hung out with the Roots. Actually did hang out with the Roots. So
what was the name of your band though?
DITD.
Oh, okay.
He's like, I don't know. He's not remember.
Yeah, exactly.
He's gonna play it back like DE. No one know how to spell it, which is why we didn't succeed.
Is your music on any streaming?
Yeah, iTunes. Absolutely. Yep, we're on iTunes and stuff. We'll send it to you. Don't you worry. Yeah. You can spin it all you want, man.
Please,
we would love to.
Oh man.
Let me just finish the question.
Okay,
yeah, sure.
Radio just needs to they got to find this balance. I understand they want to make money. I understand that, but the rich are staying rich. They don't want to try to put opportunities for young cats. I was told by a radio company that I was old and not preferred. They like my socials.
What?
And I'm just like, okay, you could hire someone young and whatever, but I just know how to connect with people. And that's the one thing I feel like that radio missed out on is personalities that sound like the city or if they're not from the city are willing to really not just show up and do the shift and leave.
Understand the city.
I had a great opportunity last year to be on the radio in Minneapolis during George Floyd.
Oh, wow.
When that all went down, and to be able to air those voices on the radio, local Minnesota, Minneapolis people, to be able to do that. The voice track guy from this city, another city, I mean, they're not going to be able to connect with the city in that way. And so they're missing an opportunity, but I get it.
Yeah.
What brought you to Minnesota? Like Pennsylvania winters aren't fucking cold enough for you.
I know, Jesus Christ.
You got to go to Minneapolis.
Mall America versus King of Prussia Mall. Go.
Right. Well, let me tell you this. I'll give it to you. Mall America has a lot more fun things to do. But doesn't have the high-end stores. There's no
It's got like a roller coaster, like a Lego thing. I've been in there before.
Lego store, but there's no Gucci or Versace, none of that shit. And that's what
that's right. That's King of Prussia's royal. We are class.
That's right.
Just take your roller coasters and get the hell out of here.
I moved to Portland, Oregon shortly after I lived in LA for a little bit to do a radio gig, and that bombed. I couldn't get along with some of the cats. Well, that's another story. I stayed in Minneapolis for about 4 months, and then I reached out to this guy, Peter Parker, who was on the radio out there.
Parker.
Spider-Man.
Yes.
Yep. Mr. Peter Parker. And I was like, look, man, I'm basically pulling into this parking lot in Portland, and I'm like crying in my car before I go on the air show. I'm like, I'll be like, here's a Drake song. And I'll be like, I was like, yo, you have any opportunities? And he was like, yo, we got this awesome station. It's independent. We're looking for middays. And I was like, fuck it, let's do it. And so they flew me out. They interviewed me. And Sam Gagliardi, I love you. If you're watching this, he believed in me, and Joe Polad as well. And they brought me on, and it was amazing because I got to do me on there. We got to support local artists on there. Awesome. And so it wasn't about. I'll tell you this: I didn't think anything of Minnesota. All I knew this Prince was from there. And that's all I had to know when I moved there, was that there was an opportunity for me. I didn't think shit of the city, to be honest with you. I didn't think of it at all. I didn't hate it or love it, or I was just like, it's Minneapolis. And I thought, I didn't think much of it. I thought it was going to be, I don't even want to mention other cities and people be mad at me. And I absolutely love that city. It is the people are incredible.
But the weather, man, oh, goddamn, it's so fucking cold there. I remember I went to Minnesota for work, and I was staying in a hotel that was across the street from All America. I can't remember one. It was like a Hilton or some shit. And I was coming from the gym that's in the hotel and getting into the elevator, and this dude rolls in, and he looked like a fucking ice cube. And I'm like, man, how cold is it out there? I'm making stupid elevator small talk because I'm an asshole. And he goes, he's like, and Minnesota people are the nicest people ever. He's like, well, with the wind chill, it's negative 27 degrees. I was like, fuck, negative 27?
Right.
Jesus Christ.
Here's the question though. If it's 0 or negative 27, are you hanging out outside anyway?
Hell no.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No.
To me, that's the question I ask people. Like, it's cold. I'll be like, well, are you hanging outside when it's 10 degrees here? So we're both inside. But the answer, honestly.
That's good.
But the real answer to that, the other answer to that is that there's no bad weather. There's bad dressing.
Fair.
And the third part of that is cryogenics, man. I feel like
you're freezing yourself so you can
months. So I'll get younger slower, or I'll get older slower, right? So we freeze over there. So maybe I look a little younger for my age.
Yeah, you're trying to pull in the Demolition Man,
like LeBron James. Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
So I wanted to talk to you kind of about like your charity and health and wellness and how you promote that stuff. So you had a heart attack at 30.
It's terrifying.
And, you talked earlier about being like a chubby kid growing up. I was too. I lost a lot of weight coming out of like probably like my early to mid 20s. And because I was pushing like 230, 240 at one point, like senior year of high school going into college. And, seeing like you go through that and then create a foundation to kind of raise awareness, like it is really cool. And I wanted to kind of talk to you a little bit
Bonics,
about that.
Bonics.
I'll tell you about that. That actual original foundation idea ended up not going all the way through because God bless her. The lady who helped me was going to help me formulate it. She ended up getting cancer. And
good Lord. That's terrible.
So I actually, it was the thought at the time. But what really, the funny is that I called it foundation because I understand how important that work is to me now. And so I like to look at patterns in our lives, like you did radio before, right? And now you're doing a podcast.
Yep.
I like to look at those things as kind of like, those are signals of like what we can't. First of all, if you did it in your past, that means you can do it in your future. And so, I never actually, that was the idea, was to do this. And, the idea is to basically help make awareness of it. And so that did happen. Like I didn't at the time, I didn't necessarily raise money for whatever, but more so people started reaching out to me around the country. This website, DJ City, which is like a pretty big DJ company right now. They had interviewed me about it. So then people started noticing around the country, like I was like a news story because like, I'm not saying I was the first DJ to have a heart attack, but in the internet era, like it picked up a little bit. And so, and I was his DJ too. So that kind of gave it a couple, some wings and people like, wanted to focus on that. And so, so that's still the idea. I still have the sign for it and everything, but really my work now, that's the foundation.
Right.
To just keep giving back in different ways that I can. And just I articulated this the other day and I never said it like this, it's a real good thing. And if you live a good life, I would say, but it's really cool that people, they're inspired on how you live your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a really cool thing. You have heroes. We have heroes. Charles Barkley is my hero.
Hell yeah. How
he lived his life resonated with me. And so, I did a 10,000 hoodies thing. I don't know if you saw that.
Yes, I saw that.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yep.
Cool. And then I'm doing, I work with this Bridge for Youth, homeless kind of center in Minneapolis that focus on like homeless kids. Like, yo, can you imagine there's kids that the only meal that they get a day is just at school? And
that's crazy.
Only getting a day. And that shit really hit me. And now I'm working on this thing called Down for the Challenge with the Salvation Army, where I had to raise $1,000, and then I get to rappel off the Mall of America. So take that, King of Prussia.
Yeah.
14 stories and
14 stories. Oh, yeah. Man. I was just telling you. We had a podcast. Just the last one we just released it yesterday, where we have a draft, like almost like our podcast when we're not interviewing people, we've got relatively a structured segment type show, and one of them is a draft. We draft something, and Kevin had the idea of drafting the most badass ways to go out in movie history, like the best movie deaths of all time. Okay. And so I was just when he said 14 stories down, I'm like, I wouldn't want to go out like that, but
yeah, we don't want you to have a Hans Gruber moment where you're like, back on.
Why is it that 2 of my predicted deaths are happening at the mall? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's not good.
Charles Barkley and repelling. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
Something about the mall. Again, you better mention patterns. You better stay the fuck. You better have extra harnesses and shit and a parachute.
I kind of just said yes. I was like, yeah, the Salvation Army said, would you be a part of this? I'm like, yes. And then someone actually sat me down and was like, if you thought about what you're going to do, then I thought about it and I was like, holy shit. But you know what?
Hey, guess good news. You have to free climb the Burj Tower. Like, what? I didn't agree to that.
New experiences. That's the thing that really it motivates me right now is I realize that I want to experience new experiences. And
that's definitely new.
And so that's why I chose to do that. So I'm going to just put this out on you guys for your audience.
Come on, bring it.
Expecting you guys to help donate.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll help me raise money. My team has raised close to 10 grand already. Shout out to my Go Bonics team. And me personally, I think I've raised over almost $5,000, which is cool. The money's going to shelters around Minneapolis that the Salvation Army runs. And obviously right now people can't pay their mortgage or their rent, or they're getting kicked out. And so families are getting displaced. So, it's for a good cause.
I'm going to go shake down. We will
promote the hell out of it.
I want to go shake down the King of Prussia for some gold bullion. Bring me the gold.
I know.
So that's awesome, man. Yeah, we'll promote it and put a little Chiron on the bottom there to get people to.
So we had a kid who's coming up in the Philly scene in the hip hop world. His name's Close Cash. He was featured in Philadelphia Weekly. Smart young kid. We featured him on an album one of our albums when he was still in high school.
Yes.
We talked to him a little bit about the state of hip hop and a little bit about, Philadelphia in general, just like the Philly hip hop scene and stuff like that. And he had some interesting takes on it. And I was just kind of curious what your thoughts are on like the current state of hip hop versus how it was when you were like first entering, in the early to late 2000s.
I think we have to remember that in the early and late 2000s, it was like, we'll just talk about in the 90s first, is that because you liked hip hop, you were labeled a certain, in my teenage years, I was here in the suburbs, and, if white people liked rap, they were wiggers, right? Like that's
right.
I don't know if that's a term.
That's still out there.
Accurate for sure.
Wait, let me check the cancellation list. Is that on there? Nope, we're good.
And so if you liked hip hop, then you were labeled a certain way because obviously, and it wasn't just isolated here. It was like everywhere because hip hop had a bad stigma or the whatever. But we have to remember that today it's completely mainstream. And I think young kids aren't looking into it as, ooh, that's some like new music that's from the city. It's just hip hop,
there's not at all.
So it's a lot different. And obviously I know that there's the old guys out there and not even old people, the perspective of like, rap, it sucks and it's missing this. Of course it is, but some people like Italian food. Some people like Chinese food.
Sure. And,
if we spend all day talking about how Chinese food sucks, then we're not focusing on how great Italian food is,
Right.
So it's a mix. I don't love a lot of the stuff that I have to quote unquote play. But I'm sure that a lot of bartenders don't love Miller Lite and they're serving it too.
Right.
So
yeah.
I just got to make people happy. And some people would disagree with that. But the state of hip hop, it's amazing that anyone can do it. It's amazing that people can just like record shit and make beats, and you have kids doing it. So it's lucrative for people. And I think it's beautiful. I just think that we should remind people of that it's a culture. And what does that mean is that for me, it means when we talk about culture, you can go back and like look through history books of like international culture, Philly culture, Spanish culture, or whatever. And so I like to look at it as like, what contributions to the bigger picture does this give? So there's fast food hip hop, and then there's people like Kendrick Lamar and shit that are offering these lifelong standing sort of these albums, and what he's trying to do lasts forever. So it's a big mix. I definitely am about the culture, and like I would like to see more positivity and rap and push it. But like I don't want to be the old guy that's like, fuck this rap shit. The best thing I can do is help share the shit that I like, and hopefully other people resonate with it.
Do you think that also, because you mentioned it, like there's a major difference. Like you talk about someone like a Kendrick Lamar. We talked about it with Alavet too. Like it's the difference between like people that are just creating music for the sake of getting like mass production, like it's on a factory line. Like I'm just getting something out there. I don't really have a message. The music's not all that great. It's just kind of rudimentary, but it's a little bit catchy, right? It doesn't have like, when I think about creating music, and we've talked about this a bunch, it is a living thing to a degree. You're like, if you really care about it, and you want something that is coming out of you, and like you're emoting into notes and to song structure and all that stuff, that's the Kendrick Lamar side of it. Like they're trying to do something. They're true artists, and that's the thing is, and I guess again to your point, it's like whatever flavor you like. You could like stuff that doesn't really I could just be don't care about it. It's kind of it does not have a message. And then there's some stuff that really hits home, and you listen to all the time.
There are times in my life where, trust me, when the first Down South and Master P stuff, like I was an East Coast kid, so it didn't resonate with me,
Right.
And I don't love a lot of the like some of the new stuff, or it's not that I don't love it. It's just like I'm right now just. Me personally, I listen to like a lot more podcasts and stuff more recently. And I just feel like that there's something for everyone. And I used to be super woke or really fierce about, man, why can't, listen to these artists? They should be doing this, and they should be doing this, and should be doing this. So I could go down that road all day long. Sure. But I figure I'm trying to like, stop those habits and really just allow, hey, that's an audience for something else. Do I want something better? Well, I'll look for it and make sure I share it or have it for me. But I don't like to dwell anymore on shitting on things that make other people happy.
Yeah, it's the freedom of choice. We talk about all that content being out there.
We
something for everybody.
So I came up, we graduated in 94. So when we were, I know we're old as fuck. So we're coming up in the worlds of like, Tribe Called Quest, Beastie Boys, Wu-Tang Clan, and I remember like, you were like, there were the people that liked it, people that didn't. But it was no play for it. They weren't on the Grammys. No. They weren't on, the all the big hype shows. It was all rock and roll and pop. Hip hop was not getting that. It was starting to, but now I think it's kind of beautiful in a way that now what used to be taboo is now one of the biggest, if not the biggest, musical genres out there. As far as like you said, as far as like mainstream playability, getting the most focus, being headlining the Grammys and stuff like that, where that wasn't like that back when we were growing up at all.
And in fairness, 94 is when we graduated high school, not college. We're not that old. God damn it.
High school. I think I said high school.
What's that?
I think I said high school. I don't know.
You said graduated.
But
clarifying.
I mean, I remember listening to Black Sheep.
Hell yeah.
And like, that was like, you were sharing tapes with people back then, You know what I mean? Because you couldn't hear that shit on the radio.
Totally.
So I think it's cool that whether you like the music or not currently, the state of hip hop, I think it's cool that it's actually super mainstream and it pisses off a lot of people that it is too.
Yeah.
What's cool too is like when you meet kids, younger kids who are like, man, I love 90s hip hop. You know, I love 90s R&B, and it's just like cool and refreshing. I mean, something for everyone. Sometimes I like to describe it as like sushi and McDonald's, right? Like I love sushi. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I like a good old fucking hash brown, you know?
Oh yeah.
So there's fast food hip hop, and then there's some gourmet hip hop, and you know, the better food for you probably intake, the better the mind a little bit. But also at the same time, I grew up listening to Snoop and all this shit too, but I didn't want to kill somebody, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
No. But I also wasn't like being fed drugs.
Yeah.
You know, like whatever medication kids have now and ADD and all this other stuff. So like, man, what weird times, you know? Well,
we got to talk about the right drugs, because you can't talk about Wiz Khalifa without talking about weed. I know you're rocking the Jordan.
Yeah.
And
beautiful hat.
Yep.
Yes.
So were you, before you met Wiz, were you a big pothead? Or did it kind of come with the territory?
I was smoking weed. So man, if my mom's watching this, I definitely smoked pot early. And not that early. I mean, I know people from New York that are like having sex at like 10 years old and shit.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ.
I started smoking pot probably when I was like 15. And I was like against like smoking cigarettes and all that shit. And then here I come like smoking pot. But I like got really into like kind of some hippie shit too a little bit. Like some of my friends were like into the Dead and doing, you know, and I don't know, man. Pot was always something. It's really wild that pot has been this theme in my life. Because man, I could be DJing for like, I don't want to say I could, but imagine if I DJ'd for just like a one-hit wonder, or just, I don't even want to mention any rappers because people will cancel me.
You're like,
whatever.
Yeah, I'll bleep it out.
Right. And that would be it. But like, imagine this guy has like a whole culture behind him, weed. And he's kind of the generation after my generation. So it ties me in. I'm not the old guy necessarily, as far as I'm not surrounding myself around all the old guys. I'm surrounding myself about this young dude who really changed the game in a lot of ways. Wiz did change the game.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm working with this Hardin company in Vegas, and I'll be working with them a little bit more, if you get what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And I have an opportunity there to, you know, think about cannabis, man. 20 years ago, people of color are getting arrested, and
we just talked about this too, like in the last podcast. It's despicable.
And then
for weed.
And then 20 years later, they're like white folks that are making millions off of this shit.
Yeah.
And I think that Hardin's a company that's it's a boutique sort of vibe. And I really like what they do over there, because they're really trying to make it like a lifestyle and not just like hey, it's ganja and here it is. It's like, no, it's a lifestyle. It's sexy. It can be sexy. It can be boutique. You know, it kind of reminds me of like a little bit of like a Supreme vibe of like just how the way that they present themselves. And so shout out to the Adam and Semi and the whole team at Hardin over there. If you guys are ever in Vegas, let me know. And
fuck yeah, I'll make trips to Vegas just to go do that. I'm a big fan. And it's funny because like, we were also talking on a previous podcast about the difference in quality when you're younger and now. It's like Kevin took a break for a little bit. He came back in and it was like he got blasted into the future. He's like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah,
There's no stems.
I went to
seeds.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not picking seeds. Bowls aren't popping my face while I'm fucking hitting them.
I get high, but man, there's nothing like that Reggie. Like I can't, this may sound weird to the weed connoisseurs, but back in the day when you just smoked that brick weed on a blunt that literally made your eyes bloodshot. And I would love to have that feeling again, just once, because that's a different high. That's like a irresponsible kid smoking weed that came out of a nickel bag with a skull hologram on it.
I remember one time I had So gravity bong, you cut like a Pepsi bottle. So brilliantly, we said 2-liter bottle. Fuck that. Give me the 3-liter bottle. Got a 3-liter bottle and cap it in. Then someone was like, here you go. And this is my first gravity bong. And I'm like, sure, guys. And then it was like, I'm like, I coughed for 20 minutes at least. And I was violently high immediately. It's awesome though.
Make a Gatorade. We used to do it out of a Gatorade bottle.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the right size.
But now there's like dabs and shit. I'm like,
crackle.
I don't know. I went from like, that it was like landing on a different fucking planet. I look at it like I look at like hip hop and look at we just talked about. You go back to like it was like so secretive. Like we had to do dangerous shit to fucking buy like a fucking eighth a pot. Like we're driving down us fucking two crackers driving down Allegheny Avenue to get a fucking baker's dozen of fucking nickel bags.
We used to drive to fucking Ogons Avenue and stuff like
Ogons.
Nickel bag from down there. And like when I really think about like a teenager going, like they knew I wasn't from that neighborhood and like that shit. I think about those days a lot, and we didn't have cell phones, right?
Nope.
So, I mean, I had a pager,
yep,
right, with a chain connected to my belt loop. But
love it.
That there was a big risk there, but I guess no one had cell phones, so we were all.
Yeah, we just didn't care because we were young and stupid. We were just like, all right, let's just go. We'll just go there and nothing will happen to us except we'll get the stuff that we came to purchase.
Think about the drinking and
dude.
Like we did it. Like we were taking shots of 151. Like what the fuck were we doing?
But now it's now just like hip hop. It's like it's as popular as ever and mainstream as ever. You walk into a boutique, like you said, here you go, sir. It's like walking into Tiffany's, but it's all like fucking purple crystals shooting out of it and shit.
Dude, Elon Musk, billionaire, smoked a joint with Joe Rogan on.
I took one hit, like the first time I smoked after not smoking for a decade, and I took one hit and I was high for 4 hours. It was ridiculous.
It's fun though, navigating through the sativa and the indica and the edibles and that, it's fun. Like, for me, I know Wiz is straight indica all the time, but for me, I like smoking sativa when I don't want to feel sleepy or whatever.
Right. Yeah, hell yeah, man.
Indica is good to just try to get that high. So it's been fun to navigate in that way, just like different teas or whatever. But I've been having fun with shrooms too. Yeah. Well,
we literally was just talking about this in the last podcast. We were talking about how in Colorado, they're using microdosing to help people with certain kind of mental issues. So like, and again, it goes back to in the 70s when they were experimenting with things like LSD, they were trying to use it to treat. I mean, they didn't know what the fuck they were doing clearly, but they were trying to use it to treat some of these illnesses like schizophrenia or dissociative orders and things like that. And now what they're doing, again, because science is caught up, similar to the weed, they've known how to like apply it in the right dosage to be able to actually, it's amazing what science can do. You take a little bit of time,
just from my experiences with mushrooms, it's great. I mean,
I had one bad one where I stared into a poster for 6 hours straight and didn't move. That wasn't fun, but it's rolling the dice.
Couple bad ones. I'll tell you, we're going to say that we have to say this for another podcast.
Right. Oh yeah.
I did a few months ago. And I try not to speak about this because there is a secretive kind of vibe to it a little bit, but I did ayahuasca.
Oh my. Oh yeah.
That was quite an adventure.
Yeah. Yes. Machine Gun Kelly and Megan, what's his name? The girl,
Megan Thee Stallion.
No, the girl that
Megan Fox.
Yeah, Megan Fox. She talked about taking it, and she said it was like living in her own personal hell for like 7 straight hours. They took ayahuasca.
Well, she was engaged with David Austin Green, so that's like a lifetime of hell.
Hey, I thought David Austin Green was cool, man.
No, I was just fucking around. It was just a funny thing to say, and I wanted to attack him for no reason.
I'll be honest, that says a lot about the person, not the ayahuasca.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I guess so. If it's not like a really good experience.
So I always liked mushrooms. I remember doing mushrooms and then doing whippets while on mushrooms and seeing colors that didn't even exist in nature. Like it was, really but I remember really enjoying a Dave Matthews concert on mushrooms Probably a lot more than I should have.
First time I ever did shrooms was at a Fish concert.
Oh yeah.
And I'm gonna sound so crazy, but that was my first Fish concert, and they said that was one of like their best shows ever. And
was it at the Camden Waterfront? Was it local?
This was in the Post Gazette Pavilion.
Okay, yeah.
And I had said to my friends after the show, I was like, Fish was playing for me, and they were telling me, they were welcoming me. And I do feel that still, as far as like the journey that I've experienced in music and in life, and so many great stories and so many brushes with greatness that I do feel that way. Because I'm 40 and I still don't have to wear a suit to work, you know?
That's brilliant.
Are you going to be going back out on tour at all? I know you got the Vegas thing going on.
Yeah, we got Dre's once a month. I think they were smart and not booking a tour this fall, because everyone booked a tour this fall and people don't have the money to go to all of the stuff.
Right.
You know, we're hoping for a big 2022, but we just hope everyone's safe first.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Well, people have to, get their shit together.
A lot of them are getting pushed out too. I'm a huge Deftones fan, and they just pushed their all their shows out until May of next year.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, they're not playing at all.
There's too many concerts. Like, things aren't selling from what I hear on industry. So
right,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, like, everyone's just saturating the market right now because they have been cooped up for a year or two. They want to get back out in front of their fans, I'm sure, and continue, because it's hard to maintain relevance when you're, unless you look, Wiz Khalifa's got staying power because he's got like massive hits. Like, there's people out there that, or maybe hanging on by a thread in the music industry. And as soon as this thing hits, then they get, basically shelved for a year. It's hard to keep that up.
I mean, we had the guitar player from Candlebox on our podcast, or a couple of podcasts ago. Mm-hmm. And they had to put off their album release for, like, he's like, it's been in the can for almost a year now.
Yeah.
And they couldn't put it out because they couldn't tour with it.
Yeah. They had to wait. Yeah. It's pretty nuts, man.
Anybody you looking forward to playing with, that you want to play with, that you haven't played with yet, you haven't toured with yet?
No, I'm just ready to get back on tour with Wiz again. There was talks about maybe doing a Snoop tour this past summer, so that would have been fun to get back.
Oh wow!
Geez, Snoop and Wiz Khalifa together.
Jesus Christ! You're not going to remember. You're not going to remember anything past 32.
Remember though when that forum broke at the what's that venue in Philly? I don't know if you guys remember that.
Oh,
Center. I forget what they call it. You just said the Camden
Waterfront BB&T Pavilion.
Yeah. A couple of years ago, Wiz and Snoop performed there, and like a platform dropped, and all these kids got injured real bad.
No, Jesus. No shit. I have to go back and look. I don't remember that.
They wanted to sue Wiz and Snoop. And
what, did they construct the fucking stage? It's not like they were
the show ended after.
They're all high, like trying to put the pieces together.
Did you tighten that screw? For shizzle. All right. I trust him.
You say so.
He said for shizzle. Dude, it's badass though. I mean, like, to think about being able to get back out there and doing it again, it's fantastic.
I can't wait. I mean, it's fun. I'm blessed. Every year I'm like, is this last year? Is this last year? And so, man, I'm just happy. Wiz is great. I was going back to what I was going to say. You had said something about Wiz and his hits, is that it's actually, what I'm recognizing, it's the weed culture, man. Like, people, some artists only exist if they have hits. Wiz exists if there's weed. You know what I'm saying? It. And so Cypress,
should be on a shirt. You should patent pending that right now. Patent pending for you.
We'll do a collabo with the podcast.
Love it.
We're in.
Yes. What was Hardin. I forget what I was going to say, but yeah, I'm really proud of Wiz. And seeing Snoop Dogg, Cypress Hill, like they still tour. It's because of weed. You might not know Wiz's songs, but you know that it's gonna be weed friendly, and that's what makes it really cool, man. It's culture. That it's like artists that really build and are part of a culture, I think are, last a lot longer.
Right. Well, you mentioned Fish, the Grateful Dead. That's kind of in that same vein. Like back in the day, that was kind of the weed culture there, like that kind of vibe, and that's carried on. Like those cultures, they do, people like that being together and hearing music and hearing that kind of music, you know, whatever that might be, whether that's the hippie music from the 70s or hip hop now. Like I just went to go see Snoop a couple years ago. He was fantastic.
Yeah, he's still good. I was telling my dad, I was like, I can appreciate so I don't know if people actually put thinking in this, but like, you know, the Grateful Dead and those type of guys, they were doing like drugs and psychedelics when they're on stage. And the show was different every time, right? And I kind of feel that in a certain way of like the amount of different types of high I've been on stage with Wiz, whether it was from dabs or that each show is different in that way, depending on what you're on, you know? And I think that there's something there. I haven't figured out the right words, but that's cool is that it's cool to be able to change the experience of something that is common or not common, but that
like familiar. You're familiar with it
every night.
Yeah.
But depending on how fucked up you are, it's a different experience.
Exactly. And that it translates through the actual music. And so the output, even though it's the same product, maybe just a little bit different, right. There's a little nuance to it, which is pretty cool.
It makes that show memorable a little bit. Like, remember that time we did mushrooms and you're like, oh shit. Yeah, that was fun. You know?
Yes, exactly.
What's the coolest place that you've been? Cause you've been all over the world at this point with Wiz. Like, what's the coolest place that you played? Like not in the United States.
I'm trying to think of something that's like, that meant like,
even if it was just a show and not a city in general.
I mean, like it's wild, like playing in cities that you didn't know exist. Like we played in Malta. Have you ever heard of that country?
Malta?
Malta, like
Malta.
I don't know if you asked me to find it on a map, I guarantee I couldn't.
Malta.
I never even heard of it. It's a country right outside of Italy, its own island, and we performed some MTV shit there. And it was a wild looking city. I think that they take some of the scenery there for Game of Thrones, maybe.
Oh, no shit. Wow.
And you know, just discovering like every place has its own little unique story, like being in Japan where the crowd is a little bit more mild mannered or being in fucking Africa and someone's wearing a Pittsburgh hat, you know, you're just like,
that's awesome. You're like, wow, I guess everyone loves the Steelers. Of course they do. Yeah. Fucking popular ass team.
I was in like Argentina or somewhere and I was just walking around doing my tourist shit and they're like, hey, you're DJ Bonics. And I'm just like, holy shit, I'm walking down the street. And I'm not saying I'm famous like that, but those things have happened. And man, I'm so thankful for that. Everywhere is great, man. We played in Brazil, Australia, New Zealand, Moscow.
Moscow. No kidding. That must have been amazing.
So that's a testament to hip hop, man. It's amazing.
Yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
Wiz is the GOAT, man.
One of the coolest things I saw, it was a video of one of Wiz's concert. It was shot from like your perspective. So it was like almost over like your back right shoulder out into the crowd. Wiz is up front and it's just a sea of humanity out front. And there's just like gigantic inflatable joints, like the size of pool rafts, just getting passed around like the crowd. It was one of the coolest like scenes I'd seen. It was amazing. Seeing that firsthand must blow your mind every single time.
I mean, I'm still tripping off of the fact that like that I manifested that. That was a dream of mine to tour the world. And so I'm thankful every time. I'm nervous every single time. I'm present every single moment. And it's incredible. I've grown a lot to where some years were harder than I made it harder than it should, or we grow a certain way. So right now where it's at is like Wiz is so loyal to the people that have been down with him since day one. I'm so thankful for that opportunity. And if Wiz is watching, Wiz, thank you very much.
Yes, please, Wiz, watch.
Yes.
Watch this.
I'll also be on the podcast next time too, as well.
We'll take him too. We are not.
Yo, listen, we want to send you some swag. So just we'll send you some Digging in the Dome swag. You want to throw some Taylor Gang or Yardine swag back?
I'll use some Hardine swag.
Yeah, man, please do.
We'll exchange.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exchange.
We'll throw you a bunch of stickers, and t-shirts, stuff like that.
And you're going to donate to my salvation.
Absolutely. Hell yes, we are. We're going to put it again against the on the Chiron.
We're gonna grind for donations too. It's not just going to be us. We're going to fans donate too.
Take the $2,000 you guys were going to pay me for this.
That was well played, son of a bitch. You weren't supposed to say that.
We're supposed to wait.
It sounds like you guys have a huge budget. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So,
That's right.
Meanwhile, we're recording this in Chris's house. His dogs are barking downstairs.
My dogs aren't barking currently.
I'm in Hawaii right now.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Scenic Lansdale, Pennsylvania. So you're a man of many talents. We've established that. What I guess everything gives you a different kind of joy, whether it's being a DJ. I mean, obviously you started in what sounds like promotion and production, right? Like when you met Wiz before you became his DJ. Radio, you're a TV show host. What is it? Is there anything that you like the best? Like if you could just do that one thing.
Well, recently I really understand that I like TV hosting, because here's the deal. They feed you the lines.
Yep.
And you just have to do them. When you're on radio, you might say some shit wrong, or you might curse, or
yes.
You have to come up with this shit. Or, I mean, someone said something very smart. I forget, it might have been my guy Jimmy at Power 106. He was like, radio is being able to say the same thing in different ways over and over and over.
Yeah.
And I really like doing TV right now, but I'll just tie the bow on it is whatever I can impact people. I like and I enjoy whether it's, I don't even know how, whether it's performing, and I've met so many people around the country and the world, that young DJs, and I look up to you, or like I used to watch you on the day-to-days, and then people who see what I'm doing now. Every city that I move to, I picked someone else up who gets to go on this adventure with me, and it's been man, I have so many great little stories of random. I'm outside of a theater in France and the show's sold out, and these kids are so sad because they can't come in, and screen flips, and I'm walking them backstage to meet Wiz and getting them to the show. You know, you changed their life. That is an experience that they will never ever forget. Ever. That's amazing. To be able to do that's fantastic. I've never forgotten Armin Gilliam. I can tell you that. No, you sure haven't. Jesus. Haunt your dreams. That's like, God, Jesus. It's so much bigger than mine. Oh my God. Him on the podcast? Have you tried to get him on the podcast? Not yet, but we will now. Oh, now we're going to go full court press, no pun intended. Let's do it. Let's get him on the podcast. Let's get Harmon on. Yeah. And then we get Sir Charles too. Every once in a while, we'll get people popping in. I meant to ask you, because you said you got to meet him. Have you met him several times now at this point? Crazy story. I forget what the name of the bar is. I'm in Manayunk. My guy, DJ Reed Streets, asked me to DJ this night with him and the legend Jay Ski. And shout out to Reed Streets, who's a DJ for the Flyers. I was DJing at the bar that night, and in comes Charles Barkley. And it fucking blew my mind. And I have this awesome video clip. If I could find it, maybe we can insert it. Yeah, absolutely, dude. Definitely. Of Charles. He makes me stop the music, and he gets on the mic. He's like, for the next 5 songs, he's like, the drinks are free, but I want to play you the song that I woke up to every single morning. And it was Nas' Hate Me Now.
Drinks are free at the bar for the next 3 songs. 3. But this next song, I listen to it every day when I wake up to all these fucking haters out there. Yeah! I do. So listen to the words. But at the bar, all drinks are free for the next 3 songs. But I want you to listen to this next song, because I listen to it every day to all these fucking haters out there. Yo, give it a one time for Charles Barkley.
Oh, that's awesome. Amazing. You can hate me now.
Yeah, exactly.
But I won't stop now.
That was amazing. I'll tell you another funny Barkley story that happened a few years ago. A homie of mine hits me up from Arizona, and you know Barkley kind of lives there too.
Yeah.
And he was like, yo, I'm going to be bartending at Charles Barkley's New Year's party tonight. I'll like FaceTime you from it. I'm like, I didn't even think about it, because I was like, I had to DJ my own shit. So I DJ'd, and then I came home. It was like 2:30 in the morning, and I get a FaceTime from my buddy, and fucking Charles Barkley's on the other end of that shit. I started my I think it was 2018 because 19, it might have been 19 actually. I started off my 2019.
Like New Year's Eve.
Charles Barkley. And that's when I got to speak to him about the jersey. And he saw Sir Charles the dog at the time. And he was like, I got 3 of them little shits.
That's pretty good Barkley.
I love Charles Barkley, man. I actually, in my bathroom in Minnesota and in Austin, very briefly, I have a Charles Barkley bathroom with a Charles Barkley shower curtain.
That's incredible.
Wow.
Art, my starting lineups,
Sweet.
Nice.
dolls.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And yeah, it's kind of weird.
I was gonna say, should we warn Sir
Another
Charles?
great
Charles, run.
Yeah, exactly.
All the dolls have their eyes X'd out. It's like, all right, this is a problem.
Yeah, exactly. I downloaded some weird like buy crap app, and you could search locally, like a marketplace for it.
For like Barkley stuff, just like anything.
And think about looking for Barkley stuff in Philadelphia, right? There's some gems laying around.
Oh, yeah.
One guy had this massive, I got to send you guys a picture, massive photo of Barkley that's framed. And I met him also at a parking lot.
Jesus, you got a fucking lane, dude. You're like, meet me in a parking lot. Don't tell your friends where you're going.
Charles Barkley shit. And it was $15. And I was like, here's a 20, man. You know,
$15 for that?
So happy. Dude, you should see this thing looks like you would hang it up if Charles Barkley had a funeral. You would like,
that would be the thing that you're like in memoriam.
Yeah.
Like the standee.
Yeah, exactly. With the big heads.
That's amazing.
Big
You
heads.
gotta come back and do like a Charles Barkley show.
Dude, 100%.
I mean, you got to be like, imagine the guy that's in the parking lot, like going, he's like, holy shit, it's DJ Bonics.
Yes. Is he buying that gigantic Barkley framed picture from that gentleman and strapping it to the top of his car?
It's not like this on the top, going down 76.
I saw a kid. This is like before I started thinking about buying a bunch of Barkley jerseys. And I saw a kid with a Barkley jersey on in the crowd and that I didn't have. And I walked up to him. I said, hey, I'm Moses DJ, and I'll give you a bunch of Taylor Gang merch to take that off your back. And I took that shit off my back. I had to wash it, of course, but
yeah,
I took it off his back in trade of some Taylor Gang stuff. So shout out to that dude.
That's amazing,
dude. I swear to God, this what we've learned so far is that if anyone's got some Barkley stuff, Bonics will meet you in a parking lot and pay handsomely, $5 over market price at least.
No questions asked. I'll meet you at the mall parking lot for any. I still have Barkley shit, man.
Shit. Fuck.
Well, listen, man, we so much appreciate your time. We thank you so much.
We know you
for
got
doing
a 6
this.
o'clock. Got to go.
Absolutely going to have you on again. Hopefully, if you're willing to have us, we would love to have you back.
Do you just bachelorette him? Will you take this rose?
No, I did praying hands.
I know, but it looked very, very. Please. We'd love
on the show. So, I'll be your token Asian anytime you want to.
All right. Well,
got it, man.
That's it. You heard it here. Third mic, DJ Bonics.
Hell yeah. Let's get it going.
It's right on, dude.
Hey, listen, and next time you're down the shore, man, let us, I know you were just in Ocean City with Mikey. So, we grew up down there before we moved to Philly. So we're from the beach. So next time you're down there, man, let us know. We'll come
where the weed man is down there? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I may or may not.
Yes. Actually, now it's like pretty much any corner because it's legal there. So you can just go to the recreational John's up in New Jersey.
We can certainly help you out in that regard.
Of course, anything for you, sir.
It used to be the scariest place to drive, and now weed's legal. So
yeah. Well, now you can just get it at the store. You go in, you show them an ID. Hello. Purchase the goods. It's fantastic.
Yes,
it's a beautiful future, my friend. All right. Well, DJ Bonics, thank you so much for joining us. One more time, what was the charity the two charities that you were promoting?
So if you go to my Instagram, the link's in there, but it's downforthechallenge.com. You can donate there, but look for team Go Bonics. And right now we're just raising money. Every $1,000 helps 2 to 3 families that are displaced. gives thousands of pounds of food, and we're all doing it for charity. And I'm going to risk my life again in a mall parking lot and rappel 14 stories up the Mall of America
with Charles Barkley shit hanging off.
Oh yeah, dude. Put on a Barkley jersey when you do that.
Yeah, you better
gotta.
be in a Barkley jersey.
I should wear a Charles Barkley jersey, guys.
Actually, hold on, strike that. Wear a Digging in the Dome t-shirt.
Good point. Yes, there you go. That's a smart plan. All right, so was that? No, go ahead.
I'll wear it when I jump off the King of Prussia Mall.
There we go. The KOP Mall. Yes, we'll get to Philadelphia proud. Thank you, sir. You are the man. Thank you for joining us today on Digging the Dome.
Thanks, Bonics.